Welcome to part 12 of our topic on Mystery Babylon. We were talking about the two women, one, the Shab that is turning to the correct measure, Bath, and the other woman is turning to the incorrect measures of Bath. All right, and also we were talking about Bath as also the daughter. So the two daughters, one daughter is turning to the Abbas tent, and the other daughter is turning away from the Abbas tent. So that word Shab can mean to turn in the right direction or turn in the opposite direction as well. All right, and Bath is also means house. So now let's move on, because now we need to go back to Revelation chapter 17, where we identified the mystery Babylon, that is the Sud Babal, all right, who's sitting within the kingdom of her Shamaim, and the Babal, the opposite of Babal, Labab, where she sits in the heart. The whoredom begins in the heart, which is not circumcised. So I want to expose a few verses and a few words in those verses which reveal deep hidden mysteries of Yahuwah. If you read Revelation chapter 17 verses 8, it says, "The living creature that you saw was and is not and is about to come up out of the abyss and go into destruction. And those who dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose name has not been written in the scroll of life from the foundation of the world, when they see the living creature that he was and is not and shall come." Now, all the translations use the word beast. They translate the word as beast, but if you look up the Abari word, the root word is H2416, which is K. All right, K means life, and the word there is Khaya. Khaya means living creature. All right, and for beast, the word for beast is Behemoth or Behema. All right, so that word is not there in anywhere where it is speaking about this living creature. So it should be correctly translated as the living creature. So that's what it means over there. And what's interesting to see is that this living creature you saw, all right, was, is not, and shall be. It will come out. Alright, so was, is not, and shall come out. So what was this living creature about? It's talking about the people of Elohim. Alright, because they were following the cycles of Muadim. That was the pattern given to them according to Masha's Torah. So they were going in circles, year by year, month by month. It goes the anti-clockwise, because the Abari language is from left to the right. So they went in circles in month by month and year by year, doing the same things, because that was the commandment given to them. But when the goal of the Torah, that is Mashiach, came, all right, he himself walked the cycles of Torah, because man couldn't. And man fell short of the esteem of Elohim. And that's the reason there was a need for a mediator, that is Mashiach, who was perfect in his obedience, in walking the cycles of Torah. So this living creature is not, because when Yahukanan, that is John, when he's writing the scroll of Revelation, alright, this living creature was not, because now the goal of the Torah had come, and the emissaries were alive, and all the Kadash people in the assembly were following the apostles' doctrine. So they were now aware that all these things that they did was only a schoolmaster leading them to Mashiach. So obviously they did not go back to the old letter. Now they were renewed in spirit. So that's the reason this living creature is not. Alright, but it says, shall come out of the abyss. Now the word again, abyss, used in Revelation chapter 17 verse 8 is an incorrect translation, because the word used there is tahum. Alright, tahum. Strong's, you can look up Strong's H8415. This is how Tahum is written. Tau, He, Wow, Mem. Tahum means tumultuous water. So it's like a deep sea, like an ocean, and the water is stirring up. So that's the meaning of Tahum. And the root word in Tahum is a word which I forgot to list, which is H3490. Alright, the root word is Tam, and Tam means whole or complete. Okay, so Abari words have both positive as well as negative emanations. Now, this living creature who's coming out of the tumultuous water, alright, is coming out with a false besora, as though it is complete, as though it is going to lead someone into wholeness and completeness of Mashiach. But it is a false besora. So that's how we come to know, the difference between the heavenly Jerusalem, the woman from above, or the woman which is the earthly Jerusalem, which is Hagar, which is in bondage with her children, and all those following the oath, which is the Aleph Waw Tau, alright, are cut off from this day. Okay, so this living creature will come out of the Tahum and go into destruction. The word for destruction is Abadun. Abadun also means perdition, which means there is no salvation. It's complete cut off from the life of Elohim. And those who dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose name has not been written in the scroll of life from the foundation of the world, when they see the living creature, that he was and is not and shall come. So Yahukanan is saying that the living creature right now is not there, right? Because who's dominating the assembly? It is Yahusha, because during that time the apostles were there. The faithfulness was there in the assemblies. But over a period of time, after the death of the emissaries, the dark ages came back again, where people started falling into apostasy, alright, and many of them went astray. They went back, as we see today, that they have gone back to the carnal letter in following the same cycles of the Muadim without understanding the Torah of life. Alright, so now let's move on. Okay, one more thing I want to touch upon is the bottomless pit. Alright, since I covered abyss, if you read Revelation chapter 9, I discussed this in this series itself about the locust coming out of the bottomless pit. Alright, and the word for bottomless is Tahum. Again, the same word Tahum, which is tumultuous water. And for pit, the word for pit is Bar, H874. You can look up Bet, Aleph, Resh, Bar. Bar means make distinct or letters on the tablet. See, it's very clear, letters on the tablet. So which tablet are we talking about? The Safar, the written letter, the written code. So this living creature, alright, like the locust is coming out, alright, and they are coming out with the letters on the tablet to deceive from the tumultuous water, alright, as though it is whole or complete, because the root word is Tham in Tahum. Alright, that's the picture. And if you read Daniel chapter 8 verse 23, it says about this living creature who will come and scatter the power of the Kadash people. If you read Daniel chapter 8 verse 23 and 24, because of lack of time I'll only read verse 23. It says, and in the latter time of their rule, when the transgressors have filled up their measure, when the transgressors have filled up their measure, a sovereign of fierce and skilled at intrigues shall stand up. The word for skilled at intrigues is Cheda. Alright, Shalom. Let's continue in the next part. Shalom, welcome to part 13 of Mystery Babylon. So we were reading Daniel chapter 8 verse 23, and we were looking at the word Keda. Alright, the word Keda there is translated as skilled at intrigues. Alright, but it is actually, Keda is a riddle, and it has the root word K. K means life, Alright, just as in Kea, the living creature. So Keda. So Keda means the living creature is on the doorway. Alright, he's coming through the doorway. And everybody is looking at the living creature who's coming through the doorway. Keda. That's what it says. And he comes with dark sayings. So like riddles, understanding dark sentences. So who understands the dark sentences? Who twisted Elohim's dabar to Adam and Chawwa? Who came to Mashiach twisting Elohim's dabar? Alright? It was Shaitan who came. So the Shaitan has given his authority, his kingdom and his power to this living creature to operate in the old pattern, taking everyone, alright, into the tumultuous water, alright, into the dark sayings, the letters on the tablet, alright, as we saw, the bar, alright, in the bottomless pit, the word for pit is bar, making distinct an exposition from Yahuwah's dabar, teaching as though it is the right thing or the right pattern. So that's the deception that this living creature comes in. And another root word in Keda is khad. Khad means unite. I've listed it here. H2420. Khad means one, unite or first. So he comes, uniting the scattered people. Just like people have come out of Christianity now. Now they know a little bit of Abari, they know the name Yahuwah, Yahusha, and now where do they go? So they come to the old Torah of life. He gathers them, against the camp of the Kadash people, because they are following the Torah of Khat and Mut. Alright, so let's move on and see one more verse. We already saw Revelation chapter 17 verses 9 in the beginning of the series, in the first two parts, I believe. Now let's move on to Revelation chapter 17 verse 11. It says, and the living creature, which is Kea, that was and is not, even he is the eighth and is one of the seven, alright, and goes into destruction. Now this is very interesting. If you see, let me erase this. Remember, I spoke to I spoke about the Bab, which is the pupil, or the Ishon, which is a round circle, and we had the 7 feasts of Yahuwah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and here Shabbat. Right, Shabbat is included in Leviticus. Right, Leviticus 23. When you read Leviticus 23. Right, there are 7 feasts which of Yahuwah, which is listed in Leviticus 23. So month on month, year on year, they are roaming in the circles. Alright, and the 7th feast is the Feast of Tabernacles, or booths. Yes. So let me write as booths. Okay. And I told you that there were high Shabbats. Right. One was at this is 1, 2, this is the unleavened bread, alright, this is Passover, so there were one before the unleavened bread, one after the unleavened bread, then after unleavened bread comes the first fruits, alright, FF, okay, first fruits, then comes Pentecost, so I'll write a P over there, then after that, after Pentecost comes trumpets, so I'll write T, okay, then the Day of Atonement, so I'll write as D over here. And this is the Feast of Booth. So during the Feast of Booths, again there were 2 high Shabbats, one before, alright. So 1, 2, there was here 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. And the Shabbat, which is the 8th. If you count in Leviticus chapter 23, begins with Shabbat, alright, then it's listed about Passover, it talks about unleavened bread, the commandments for first fruits, for Shavuot, that is Pentecost, for Yom Teruah, that is Feast of Trumpets, for Day of Atonement, and the Feast of Booths. Alright, so like I told you, man was created on the 6th day, and he's trampling the 7 Shabbats, which is 42 months. Alright, or Kadash. Alright, they pronounce it as Kodesh, which is the new moon. Alright, and here it says in Revelation chapter 17 verse 11, and the living creature that he was there before, is not, even he is the 8th, and is one of the 7, and goes into Abaddon. Alright, the word for 8th, it's very interesting. If you see, the word for 8 is Shamanai. You can look it up, Strong's H8083. Alright, and this is how it is written. Alright, it is Shin Mem Wow, sorry, not Wow, Nun, right, Nun, Shaman, Hey. This is the man beholding. Right, there are 2 spellings to it. One is with an Uau after the Mem, so it is also written as Shamuna, or without the Uau, it is also written as Shamana, and this means 8. Right? When you put the Uau, it becomes 8, means plural. Alright, the singular is Shamana. Okay? Are you familiar? I spoke to you about Shaman. Shaman is the oil. Remember when I told you about the parables of the wise and the foolish virgins? What did the foolish virgins lack? They lacked the oil. The word for oil is Shaman. Alright? And see how Yahuwah uses the same word, saying that this living creature is, it says that even he is the 8th, which is the Shamanai, and is one of the 7. One of the 7 is the 7 feasts, which is Shabua. Remember I spoke to you about Shabua. This is how it is written, Shabua. Shab means turn, and Shabua means 7 or week. 7 days make 1 week. Shaba is 7 and Shabua is week. So the same word is used over here, and it's like a riddle where if you understand and compare spiritual things with spiritual, you will understand that this living creature is coming in the cycles, promising the 7th Shabbat. He's promising that if you follow the Torah to the T, literal carnal letter, you will enter into life. Alright, so that's how the living creature comes in, putting in fear in people that you have to obey Masha's Torah in following each and every ordinances to the T. Alright, and then people who show them otherwise, they are considered as heretics, and they would unfriend them. They would say that you are abominable, we don't want to even listen to you. So that's how people are bound up and closed up into understanding these spiritual things. So what was the 8th? 8th is the Shabbat. Remember I told you, before Yahuwah created anything, Genesis chapter 1. Okay, let's continue in the next part because of lack of time. Shalom, shalom. Shalom, shalom. Welcome to part 14 of Mystery Babylon, which is Sud Babal. And we were talking about Revelation chapter 17 verse 11. We were talking about the living creature, where it says that the 8th is of the 7. So the living creature is promising that if you follow the entire cycle, alright, you will attain the Shabbat rest. Alright, the 7 and the 8 is Shabbat, which 7 is complete number. If you read in scripture, 7 means complete number. Alright, it's a complete number. 7 days make 1 week. 7 into 7, it talks about the Jubilee. and it also counts 7 days for your purification. So everything was in 7, which shows that 7 talks about completeness, and 8 talks about the shaman, which is the oil. All right, oil. When you read Genesis chapter 1, I said before Yahuwah created, Elohim created anything, Yahuwah Elohim created anything, he was in the Shabbat rest because there was nothing yet to create. Alright, he was not working. Alright, so say he was in this point, and then he created man on the 6th day. Alright, and man ever since is falling short of the 7. So this living creature comes and telling this man, no, you follow the cycle, just follow it and you will attain the shaman, you will attain the oil, you will get the oil. So that's the reason the foolish virgins went to Judaism. They went to buy oil from there because they wanted the Shabbat rest, they wanted the shaman, but unfortunately the door was shut upon them. And the bridegroom came and he said, I never knew you, depart from me, ye workers of iniquity. So that's the picture over here. I would also like to touch upon Revelation chapter 13 because this is very important to understand who this living creature is. I will try and make it short because we are already in part 14, but since these are important things, we need to understand the deep hidden wisdom of Yahuwah in these verses. Okay. Now, when you read Revelation chapter 13, all right, you see that there is a picture. Let me erase this. Okay. Revelation, yes, chapter 13 verse 1. So let's begin with Revelation chapter 13 verse 1. Here Yochanan is saying, and I stood on the sand of the sea, then I saw a living creature coming out of the sea, having 10 horns and 7 heads, and on his horns were 10 diadems. Diadems are crowns. And on his heads were blasphemous names written. Alright, so Yochanan is describing that I stood on the sand of the sea, and from the sea I saw the living creature arising, alright, having 10 horns and 7 heads. Remember Revelation chapter 17 verses 9, we were talking about the woman who was seated on the 7 mountains. Again, here you see 7 heads, Rashayim. Alright, and this is very interesting because Yochanan uses the words standing on the sand of the sea. Now, if you understand the covenant that Yahuwah made with Abraham, Yahuwah told Abraham that your seed will be like the sand on the sea and like the stars in heaven. I will multiply your seed, so much as the sand on the sea and the stars in heaven. So again you see 2 distinct seeds. Sand talks about carnal seed, alright, sand of the seashore, and the promised ones are the stars, shining as stars. Alright, so again, if you relate to this, that Yochanan stood on the sand of the sea, and he saw from the sea this living creature coming out with 10 horns. The number 10 talks about completeness of rule. 10 horns. He's coming with power and rule. The crowns on those, the 10 diadems on those horns, and on his heads were blasphemous names. Alright. So, what is blasphemous names? I was looking up and I was surprised to see the word used for blasphemous there is Gadu Payam. Gadu Payam. Now, when I searched this word, alright, entirely in scripture, I couldn't find this word. But when I broke up the word, I was amazed to see, why Yehochanan used this word by the inspiration of the Ruach over here. All right. So let me break down this word. Gad. Sorry. Okay. So Gad means troop or fortune. It also means coriander seed. Okay. And payam. See, payam. Payam means fat. F-A-T, fat. Alright. And this is how the word is written. Gad. Okay. That is Gamal, Dalit. And that is Strong's. Let me give you the Strong's. H1409. You can look up. H1409. Okay. And Payam. You can look up the Strong's. H6433. Alright. And Payam is written as Pe, Yod and Mem. Alright. Payam means fat. Okay. And Payam has the root word pam, which means mouth. Alright, pam means mouth. So the essence is lost when we say the word blasphemy in English, because it's a complete negative word which shows that, oh, blasphemy. No, he is blaspheming. So it's a complete negative word. But when you look at the Abari, you would be very surprised to see that Gad was a prized spice, a coriander. And if you read Exodus chapter 16 verse 31, the house of Israel called its name manna. When Yahuwah rained manna down from heaven, it says the house of Yasharel called its name manna, and it was like a coriander. The word for coriander is Gad. Okay, white, and its taste was like wafers with honey. So that's what his mouth, the pam, is coming out with a Gad or spiced, treasure to deceive, like a coriander, like manna. He's coming, the heads, the 7 heads, okay, which have the manna in them. So he is saying that, see, follow this old pattern and you will get the manna. So that's what the word is bringing out, the Gadu Payam. That's what it says. And it also interesting, verse 3, it says, and I saw one of his heads as it was bruised, alright, to death, and his death wound was healed, and the whole earth was amazed after the living creature. So the word for one of his heads is Akkad. We already discussed this word. Akkad means unite or one. Alright, so all the 7 heads, actually it should be translated that all the 7 heads had the mortal wound, but they have translated as though one of his heads had the mortal wound. So all his 7 heads had a mortal wound which was now healed. So when was the mortal wound given? The mortal wound was given when Yahusha completed Torah of Chat and Mut by walking the cycles himself. Okay, shalom, shalom. Let's continue in the next part. Shalom, welcome to part 15 and the final part of this series of Mystery Babylon. So we were talking about Revelation chapter 13 verse 3, which says, I saw one of his heads as it was bruised to death, and the death wound was healed. So the word one used there is Akkad. Alright, Akkad means unite. The oneness is in united. Alright, so that means all the 7 heads that the living creature came with was severed, or mortal wound was given to it. So when was that done? When the veil was torn from top to the bottom, when Yahusha hung on the stake, when the way of the Kadash, the most set apart place, was made open, because the law of Khat and Mut, alright, would never allow a person to enter beyond the veil. Okay, only the high priest could go once a year. Rest everyone was out of that. But right now because we are in Mashiach, we can move into the most set apart place where the Shekinah glory of Yahuwah Elohim is. Alright, that's where we are called to be, at his footstool. Okay, now all these 7 heads, that is Akkad, are now severely wounded, but this will be eventually healed, it says. It says, and his death wound was healed. Now, remember we read in Revelation chapter 17, where it speaks about the living creature was, is not, and shall come. Alright, he was there in the carnal ordinances. Alright, he was alive. Okay, but is not no longer there, because now the completeness of Mashiach is come. But he will come back again with that same carnal ordinances, deceiving people, taking them back to the Torah of Khat and Mut. So that's the deep hidden wisdom of Yahuwah in these scriptures, where we can see. Alright, now something interesting I want to show you is in the next verse, that is Revelation chapter 13 verse 4. And they worshipped the dragon who gave authority to the living creature, and they worshipped the living creature, saying, who is like the living creature, who is able to make war with him? Alright, the word for worship there is Yashatakau. Yashatakau. Alright, that's the Abari word. Now I've listed the words over here. Alright, Shat means to sit as in to eat or drink during a feast. Shata is feast, H7896, you can look it up. And we already saw K, and Kaua also, H2332 means life. Alright, so this word actually should be translated is that came to life. The living creature came back to life. Not the eternal life as such, but it was as though it was dormant for some time, as though it was mortally wounded to death. Alright, but is coming back to life in starting those old things, the old pattern again, in that context. And they have translated this as, and they worshipped the dragon who gave authority to the living creature. Alright, but the word is Yashatakau, and it is correctly translated in Revelation chapter 13 verse 14. I'll show you that verse. Revelation chapter 13 verse 14 says, and he leads astray those dwelling on the earth because of those signs which he was given to do before the living creature, saying to those dwelling on the earth to make an image to the living creature who was wounded by the sword yet lived. And the word there used is Takai. Takai. K means life. Alright. Ku also means life. Ku is in a root word. Alright. Ku. Life. Alright. It is a root word in Eve. The name Eve. Chahua. Ua. Right. The Chahua. That is a root word which means life. Right. She was called the mother of all living. Remember, Adam named her as Chahua, and Chahua means mother of all living. So she became the mother of all living. So this living creature came to life, bringing the old pattern to life and presenting as though it is whole. But it is tumultuous water, dark sentences, and people involved in it are in the outward tokens of the way of Cain. So these are the beautiful emanations used in scripture by Yahuwah, and my prayer is that everyone, alright, who watches these 15 parts of the videos would understand who the carnal woman is, where is she seated, and how people are being deceived, and how you can come out of this whoredom. Alright, the call for us is to come out of her, my people. If you read Revelation chapter 17, in a few verses down, Yahuwah says, come out from her, my people, that you do not partake of her plagues. So the whore sits in one's heart, that you have to drive out that whore by obedience, by seeing obedience to Mashiach, by seeing his completeness, by adoring him. and thanking him for fulfilling the Torah, that he is the Torah of life and he is the goal of that Torah, and all the cycles of Muadim, all right, have been completed in him. Finally, reminding you about the woman in a menstruation cycle. When she comes to Mashiach, she's purified. She knows that, oh, I no longer have to go through that repeat witness of menstruation cycle. I'm cleansed, I'm healed. Right? The woman who touched stick 6. And Revelation chapter 12, the woman, right, who travailed in birth pangs to give the male child. Whereas the carnal woman, according to the law, when she gave birth to a son, she had to, for 40 days, she had to go through the purification process. And after the purification, she had to make an offering to Yahuwah, and only then she was cleansed of her impurity. Alright, but this woman, the woman Yerushalayim from above, which comprises of Ruach Israel, those who believe and trust in Yahusha for salvation, alright, who have travailed in birth pangs and given Mashiach likeness from their life, the sweet fragrance, they are cleansed. They don't have to worry about